So, we're diving into the fascinating world of Czech and Bohemian coins. It's a rich history, right?
Absolutely. And surprisingly complex. Who knew there was so much to uncover just by looking at these tiny pieces of metal?
Exactly. We're going way beyond just face value here. We're talking legends, mint marks, symbols, portraits, the whole nine yards. I mean, you've got everything from deciphering ancient Latin inscriptions.
To spotting the tiniest mint master's mark, yeah? It's like detective work.
Huh, perfect analogy. Because, really, you're piecing together a puzzle. Each little detail tells a story. Even the direction a ruler's bust is facing.
Can be a clue.
Right.
Which, speaking of clues, what about those legends? You mentioned Latin.
Well, that's where it all begins, really. Early Bohemian coinage, dinars, bracteates, Prague-Groschen, early tollers, it's all Latin. Think Boleslav's Dux. Simple, right? But then, as the Habsburgs roll in,
Things get a little more elaborate. I'm guessing we start seeing some German?
you bet. König von Boheim, for instance. And those Habsburg titles? Forget about it. A whole string of abbreviations crammed onto these little coins. Archivs AVSD DVX BVMAMO. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Ha, I'll pass.
But, eventually we get to Czech, right? Republika Československa and all that.
Exactly. So the language itself can already give you a ballpark time frame, right? And then you add the titles from DUX to REX, even our IMP.
And boom, you've narrowed it down even further. I see. So, after language, what's next on our numismatic checklist?
Right, so after the language.
We move on to the condition, right? Because a pristine Boleslav's DUX is worth a heck of a lot more than a worn-out one.
Exactly. And that's where grading comes in. Now in Czechia and Slovakia, they use a 0 to 5 system. 0 being, perfect.
Mint state, Razebny Lesk, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And 5 being, well, let's just say you can barely tell what it is. But internationally, you've got the Sheldon scale, right? Your MS, your AU.
XF, VF, all the way down to AG, about good. Which, let's be honest, isn't very good at all.
Huh, nope. But here's the thing. Correlating the two systems can be tricky. A Czech 0 is usually an MS 65 or higher, but a 1 could range from negative 58 Australian dollars all the way to MS 64.
Oh,
So there's a bit of wiggle room. That seems like it could lead to some misunderstandings, shall we say?
Absolutely. Especially if you're buying online. You really have to look at the pictures, see those close-ups. Because overgrading.
Is a real problem, especially with online sellers. Buyer beware, as they say.
Exactly. And speaking of problems, let's talk about cleaning. Don't do it.
Yeah, big no-no. Natural patina is where it's at. A cleaned coin is a damaged coin, basically.
Right? And even if it's technically uncirculated, a weak strike can make it look worn. So you gotta know what to look for.
So, we've got language, we've got condition. What's next on the coin connoisseur's checklist? I'm guessing resources?
So resources. Where do you even begin to figure out what these treasures are worth?
right.
Because knowing the difference between a clean coin and one with a natural patina is one thing, but how do you actually put a price on it? I'm guessing catalogs are a good starting point?
Definitely. Novotny is the Bible for Czech coins, right? Kraus is good for a broader international perspective.
Yeah, but those are just estimates, right? Retail prices. Not necessarily what you'd get if you were selling.
Exactly. Think of them as guidelines. A ballpark figure. For real market value, you got to look at auction results. Onebid.cz, Ocro.cz. See what similar coins are actually selling for.
Oh, that's a good tip. Realized prices. So, you can see what people are actually willing to pay. What about dealer price lists? Are those helpful?
They can be, but remember, dealers need to make a profit. So, their asking prices will be higher than what they pay you. It's a buy-sell spread, you know?
Right. Buy low, sell high. The golden rule. But even with all these resources, there's still a lot of nuance, right? Like, How do you account for a weak strike versus a worn coin?
Ah, that's a tricky one. A weakly struck coin can look worn, even if it's technically uncirculated. You really have to look closely at the details or have an expert weigh in.
Yeah?
So, the sharpness or lack thereof isn't always due to wear and tear. It could be a minting issue.
Huh.
What about proof coins? Those are a whole different ballgame, aren't they?
Absolutely. Proof coins are specifically made for collectors. Polished dies, multiple strikes, mirror-like fields, they're meant to be pristine. And they're graded differently, too, usually with a PP designation.
PP, so that's how you differentiate them from regular circulation strikes. Makes sense. So we've got catalogs, auctions, dealers, and now proof coins. What other factors influence a coin's value?
Right? So, beyond those basics, there's the whole world of, shall we say, advanced numismatics.
Oh?
Like what? Getting into the nitty-gritty of die varieties?
Exactly. Different die states, overdates, error coins, that kind of thing. A whole other level of collecting.
Yeah?
So, a tiny little imperfection, a misplaced mint mark, say, could actually make a coin more valuable?
Absolutely. It's all about rarity. The fewer there are, the more they're worth. Simple supply and demand.
Makes sense. So, where do you even begin to learn about these sorts of things? Specialized catalogs?
Definitely. And online forums. Connecting with other collectors is key. Sharing knowledge, comparing notes.
Getting second opinions, yeah? Because with these rare varieties, I imagine there's a lot of room for misinterpretation?
Oh, absolutely. And counterfeits. You have to be so careful, especially with high-value coins.
Right.
So, authentication becomes crucial. What about professional grading services? NGC, PCGS, those guys?
Yeah, those are the big ones. Especially for really rare or valuable Czech coins. A third-party certification can really boost the value. Adds a layer of trust, you know?
I see. So, it's like an independent verification. Proof that the coin is what it claims to be and in the condition it claims to be in.
Exactly. But it's not always cost-effective. The grading itself costs money. So you have to weigh that against the potential increase in value.
Right.
Makes sense. Not worth it for your average circulated corona, probably. But for something truly special,
It can be a game changer. Absolutely. So, in a nutshell, if you're thinking about getting serious about Czech coins,
do your research. Know your language, your condition, your resources. And if you're dealing with anything particularly valuable, get a second opinion. Maybe even a third.
exactly, and never stop learning. Numismatics is a lifelong journey. Always something new to discover. So, thanks for joining us on this exploration of Czech and Bohemian coinage.
It's been a pleasure. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, happy collecting.